We have a major ammo production warning. We have someone inside some of the factories telling us what's going on. We gave you a heads up about 1 or 2 months ago, but now the crisis is here on ammo. Looks like Walmart shipping container mystery has been solved. We have an assistant manager of a store who is giving us the lowdown on what the shipping containers are all about. Chinese illegals caught with a $250,000 in gold. Yeah, what's up with that? We got a brief market update where I'll give you my assessment on what may happen next. Look into my crystal ball and let you know what I see. And we got more on the Secret Service drama. We got Bangladesh. We got a bunch of things. Let's jump into it. Welcome to the Poplar Report. I'm Steve Poplar. I'm an accountant by trade, and this is an update video of your updates that you have to share with us. If you have something that you'd like to share with the rest of us, make sure you use the word update somewhere in your comment. That gets it to the right place. We do want to thank our sponsor, Genesis Gold Group. Fantastic people over there. A lot of you have already talked to them. If you have a retirement account, like a 401k, IRA, or if you're in Canada, the TSPP, whatever that thing is, you can actually get physical metals in your retirement plan. Not stocks or funny stuff for the bank, but actual physical metals that they hold for you until you take the distributions. If you want to find out more, there'll be a link at the end of the video. All right, so speaking of that, stock market took a pretty big hit here in the U.S. and a lot of places around the world also. The S&P 500 here in the U.S. went down 3%, and the NASDAQ went down 3.5%. This is it was a pretty brutal drop for a lot of folks. I mean, just imagine your retirement account dropping by that much, and maybe it did. Now, this is following the Japanese market lower. They had some issues over in Japan. Basically, they've spent far too much money, more money than they had, so they borrowed a whole bunch of money. Does this sound at all familiar? And then they got painted into a corner where they had to raise interest rates in order to stop inflation. Does this sound familiar? Yes, it does. And that caused their stock market to basically implode because there's this thing called the carry trade where banks and major investors and everything like that, what they do is they short sell Japanese bonds, and then what they do is they take that money over. They're borrowing this money, right? Mind you, they have to pay it back, but they're taking that money and buying U.S. tech stocks. Now, what happened Thursday and Friday? U.S. tech stocks went down, and today they went down. Well, Japan over the weekend hiked interest rates, which caused their bonds to go up in value, and these banks were betting on them dropping in value. So a lot of banks and institutions out there just got caught flat-footed, kind of like one foot on the dock and one foot on the boat as it kind of separates. That's basically what happened, and so they had to choose which side they were going to jump on, and either side they're going to lose a whole bunch of money. So that's what's kind of happened the last couple of days, and that's what really led into this morning. We see a lot of things breaking. Banks gambling like it's a casino, and when they get caught wrong, it threatens the very fabric of the entire financial system. So that's kind of what's happening. So what happens next? Yesterday's drop will unfortunately trigger about $77 billion in global automated management account selling. Or these are called CTAs. Basically, it's kind of like if you have investments that are based on like a rules system, like when this happens, we buy, or when this happens, we sell, when it hits this certain level. So basically, we know what these rules are, and we know how much money is managed under each of these rules. And so the calculation is, given the drop that happened yesterday and the days before, it has triggered, starting today, $77 billion in global automated selling. So that's on that side. So people are panicking, so they're more likely to sell, less likely to buy. But you have this automated selling that's going to happen. We know that. But we also have the U.S. Plunge Protection Team and other countries have plunge protection teams as well, basically where the government steps in and starts buying up stocks, which if you're like, that's anti-capitalistic, you're absolutely right, it is, but they do it anyway. Also, U.S. banks will step in, central banks will step in. So the question is will the automated selling be offset by the government buying? And will people stop freaking out, or will they not stop freaking out? And that really gets you to the question of what happens next. I will say this about what happens next. Expect whipsaws. When the stock market starts going down, it doesn't go straight down. It goes down hard, and then it bounces up to burn all the people that just tried to get out. And then when it burns upwards, they get hit again. They go, okay, fine, things are fixed. They jump back in, and then it drops again. It's been said that the stock market exists to make the most amount of people lose the most amount of money. So whatever would be good is probably the opposite of what's going to happen. So expect whipsaws. Even if it goes back up, it's going to be a whipsaw, okay? It's possible that this sparks tons and tons of buying. People buy that dip and boom, they go straight up to the moon. But with everyone talking about recession, I'm not feeling that mood in the air just yet. But have we hit peak fear yet? I don't know. I will say this, personally, I'm buying the silver dip. Silver dropped along with the entire market. This kind of happens sometimes. People selling anything that's not nailed down. I think the silver dip personally is a great buying opportunity, so that's what I'm doing. I'm heavily in oil right now. Just full disclosure, I'm waiting for the Middle East conflict to pop off and explode oil prices upwards. So that's where I'm positioned. But as I've said for a good number of months, I said the only thing that people should be really doing in the stock market is shorting it. And if you had been shorting it, let's just say you would have made a heck of a lot of money if you were on VIX during this recent blow up. Anyway, Bangladeshi Prime Minister has resigned and fled the country. I'm not sure if I mentioned that one before. I was trying to find if I did. But big things happening over in Bangladesh. The protesters have driven the Prime Minister out of the country, and they have taken over the Parliament building. What happens next, we don't know. But it is a large population country, Muslim, and very, very poor. And what happens next, we'll see. Boeing Starliner. So basically, we now have two shuttles to the International Space Station. We have the Boeing Starliner and we have the SpaceX Dragon. The Boeing Starliner has not been fully tested, and this was one of the last test flights for the Boeing Starliner. But it had some issues going up, and they're thinking they're not going to be able to fly it back. So the two test pilots that went up to the International Space Station, they're on the space station, they're fine, but it's looking more and more like they're not going to be coming back on the Starliner because it's unsafe. That's a problem. That's a problem with the program. That's a problem with the tens of billions, hundreds of billions of dollars that have gone into the development of this spacecraft that apparently doesn't work. So SpaceX is already in talks with the NASA. NASA has requested them to start planning a rescue mission, and apparently that planning is well underway, and they are looking at starting to make a final decision on go, no go shortly. There's a small chance that they may be able to fix the Starliner, but it's looking less and less likely. They wouldn't be giving SpaceX the nod unless they really didn't have another option, because Boeing knows that this is going to be something that they probably can't survive. The Starliner, I mean, who wants to get on a spaceship that can't fly? And that's really where it is. Now, Boeing has had a lot of other problems just recently, haven't they? Other aircraft of theirs can't seem to keep its wheels on. Windows go kablooey out the side. a lot of stuff's been happening with Boeing aircraft recently, ever since they stopped focusing in on safety and started focusing in on diversity. They also produce things like the United States military's JDAM bombs, their Harpoon missiles, and they're the ones who constructed the Minuteman missiles. Luckily, that was before this whole shift. They also make the Apache helicopters and maintain those. All right, moving down to Texas, where 2 Chinese nationals, illegal immigrants to the United States, were stopped, and they were found to have $250,000 worth of gold bars hidden on their person. No pineapples hidden on their person, but lots of gold bars. And moving over to Washington, D.C., apparently former director, I love that word, former director of Secret Service, Cheadle, or as we like to call her, Director Cheetos, because of her previous employment protecting Cheetos. Anyway, she apparently, remember that little scenario where they found the white powder in the White House in a sensitive area where only principals had access to? Principals and people who were like director level or above in the federal government. That little cubby hole happened to have a little baggie. And everyone was like, oh, what's in the baggie? Well, it turns out it was something illegal. Well, Cheadle apparently pushed hard for the white powder to be destroyed and for the investigation to be just stopped. She was overruled by Secret Service Forensics and the Uniform Division, who refused to obey her orders to cancel the investigation. They pursued the investigation. It was still quashed anyway, but she was definitely an advocate to not finding the answers to that one as well. Yeah, just a distinguished service record. Distinguished service record. Diversity has won another battle. Erpel says, my wife is an assistant manager for Walmart. She said her store just ordered their containers to use for layaways. So apparently that's what a lot of these stores are doing, is using them for layaways. We heard the rumor of that before, but this, I think, makes it about as clear as it can be. All right. RX says, Steve, this is twice in a week. Walmart in Conyers, Georgia. None of their brand in half and half on the shelf. Gone or just not filling it. Hubby got 2 quarts of different brands, cost twice as much. Dairy issues. Daily Life says Giant Eagle in Northeast Ohio is out of milk. 1 entire section for the cooler for the past 1.5 weeks. That's not a short period of time, and all the dairy, that's crazy. Faye says Seattle. Wax paper rare to non-existent. We have some concerns going on out there that wax paper is just disappearing. Granny Shell says, I live in western South Dakota, and the only place I've been able to find wax paper is at Dollar Tree. My grocery store has been out for about 2 months now. Also, no Crest gel toothpaste for quite some time. Yo Daddy, this is the ammunition update here. Yo Daddy says, update on ammunition and reloading components. Talks with major powder and ammunition companies has indicated that the shipments of components to manufacturers has been cut by nearly 75% by China. Now, if you remember, I believe it's 2 months ago, we had someone who told us this was coming down the pike, and I put it up on the updates and warned you guys that China was going to cut their exports of gun cotton to us. They're doing that in protest to U.S. support for Taiwan and the war in Ukraine. Prior to the war in Ukraine, Russia and China were the sole importers for all ammunition components into the country. But now China is the only importer and has control over what's coming into the U.S. The results of this cut will result in all civilian hunting ammo and non-NATO ammunition slowly disappearing from the shelves. Gee, who might be really excited about all the ammunition disappearing on the store shelves? Is there a political party? Is there anyone you might imagine? This seems to be coming down the pike, and it seems to be playing perfectly into the hands of Special K and the person that she wills around. The results of this cut will result in civilian ammo and non-NATO ammo slowly disappearing. U.S. stores as manufacturers only focus on military contracts with an already shortened ammo component supply. These ammunitions are still available widely, but that's going to change in the near future. Lisa says quart jars and quart jar wide mouths are not in our area. This is in center of northern Indiana. My husband found them near the Illinois border, though. Laurie says, about 2 weeks ago, our church ordered fried chicken from Kroger. Lady in charge called on Saturday to check on an order. She was told that they have no chicken because why would a grocery store have chicken, right? Such a wild, crazy request. Chicken. Yikes. No chicken, and didn't know if they would have any by Sunday morning, which is the day we needed it. Yeah, that kind of stuff is happening more and more. Greg the Reaper over in the UK Highlands, our local supplier for wood pellets, Highland Industrial Supplies, the largest provider of industrial supplies in our area, which we need for heating and hot water, has not had any in stock for a week now. And our order of a full pallet of about 30 bags was paid for a week ago, and they have no date on when they're going to get it in stock. And we are just about running on empty. Thank God this didn't happen in the depths of winter, but it's still a worry. All right, Northern Nancy says, went to Aldi's today. Outages, canned beef, oyster crackers, which we use in chili, hot chocolate, canned ham, and powdered milk. All right, friends, thanks so much for your updates. Please keep them coming. Use the word update out there to get it to the right place in your comment. If you want to find out more about Genesis Gold, you can click on the link right there. If you want to check out another video from my Prepper channel, a practical video right up here, that is right. Just tap on the screen and I'll take you right over there. Thanks so much for watching. Steve Poplar of the Poplar Report.